I slowly pulled myself from my slumber. I'd clearly nodded off, pulled my arm up that still thankfully held my phone. Only my first 40 minutes had passed. Olivia was quietly snoring into my ear. This position reminded me of when we'd agreed to become a couple. And then crashed at the Payne's place. She told me her chest, and then we crashed. The chest. The little keepsake. I slept in her beanbag chair. She in the bed. At some point while we slept, she navigated her way over to sleep on top of me without me even noticing. Feeling her breast against me like a weighted blanket was one of the most comforting feelings in the world. I miss this. I miss this so much. Only the highest quality video game rips. You might think the original sounds different. That's just because you're not used to quality. Oh wait, we need something a little bit more positive. A little more quiet. Purple stack? I could feel her breathing in and out, her chest pressing against me, her arms holding me in place wrapped around my head, her tail coiling around my legs. Not that I wanted to move. I just laid there, listening to her snoring into my ear. Even if this is what led to the entire mess was one tragedy, even what led to this entire mess was one miserable tragedy after another, I was happy this specific moment was happening at least. Well, I let my breathing synchronize with hers. Every inhale led to a snark of hers. God damn! Listen, there's this game called Binary Domain, and you have it had this gimmick of like having a headset, I think, but one of the options you can say to your friends is God damn! That's it. That's the entire conversation response prompt. And every time I see it, I'm like, the response is obviously just God damn! I think it's funny. And that's all that matters. But even so, as much as I'd like for this moment to last forever, I know we weren't done here, even if she is the cutest. It was apparent that she didn't hold any ill will towards me. That unto itself was problematic, frankly. We'd have to talk about that. There's a difference between forgiving me and pretending that old Inco was right all along and she was in the wrong. That was hideously incorrect, and I refused to let her keep that worldview. I didn't warrant it, and it'd be unhealthy for her. There was also the matter of her seeming to reject the pains. The cause of that was at least a bit more obvious, but I think it would also be harder to help her correct. Yes, the pains had hurt her, but they weren't seriously going to throw her out into the streets. I'd like to say Olivia would have to know that, but given how much adversity she'd have to face for the rest of her everywhere else in her life, it wouldn't be hard to see how she finally realized that the pains had finally failed her too. Binary Domain is the unofficial sequel to Fuck off! No! No! That can't be true! No! What? What? Hold on. Get. I refuse to fucking believe that. Oh! What? It's under the Yakuza Like a Dragon. What? Huh? I'm very confused now. Listen, I don't think... listen, I don't think words can properly express. Listen, I did play Binary Domain, and I've played some Yakuza, man. My brain is just deep fried, thank you. Thanks. Thank you. I need to find that front mission gun hazard thing, because if I'm... I don't know, it's just a game that's on my mind all of a sudden. I need to do it for the SNES 9X breeding of whatever that was. Anyway, It was apparent she didn't hold the okay. One step at a time, Inco. I whispered into her ear. She grumbled, somehow pulling herself even tighter into me. I cooed to her. No, she replied. That put a smile on my face, and I could feel one tugging at her snout against my cheek. Apparently, they also wanted to make a sequel. Just saw that too. I rubbed my hand along her back for a moment longer before pulling them away and rotating my torso so she slid off me into the couch. She resisted the forces of gravity as long as she could, but she eventually had to let go of my head and fall back into the cushions. You have a neck brace, buddy. Be careful. No, came the barely audible whisper. My composure failed me and I laughed. I might just need to get Morrowind back reinstalled and take care of all the open Morrowind bullshit I had to deal with the first time. Because I do kind of want to play Morrowind. My laugh broke hers and she smiled. Seeing it again was like a warm summer day. I leaned down and placed my forehead against hers. We're short, I whispered. I have no idea what you just said, she said playfully. I groaned, pulled myself away, and again another playful complaint. Readied my phone again before sinking to the cushions, pressed alongside her as best as I could manage without letting her try to smother me again. I suspected it was half because she missed this contact as well. Half was her trying to put off the rest of this conversation. Sorry, gotta go, but this is happening. Both of us need to work through this. I thought through what I wanted to say. It was a lot, of course, but I resolved to deal with the pains issue later. If she wanted. If me and her worked out our problems, then we have a solid foundation to everything else. First things first. I do not blame you for anything, Olivia. What I did at the formal, what I said, when I said everything everyone said about you was true. I was wrong. I was Piccadilly. I was hurtful. I was wrong. The voice read out my message. I turned to look at her and did my best to make my face say, I was wrong, not you, to complement the words the phone read out. She listened and watched me. I was egotistical, narcissistic, spineless. When we talked, after I found you. After the unconscious thing, you called me pretentious, a self-centered nitwit. She flinched, recalling the memory. And you ended up being right. Even at the time, I felt hurt when you said that, but acknowledged that I was closer to home than I ever wanted it to be. She closed her mouth and tried to interject, but I gently placed my finger within her snout to quiet her. Let me talk, then you can have your turn. We need everything laid out, or we can't put the puzzle pieces together. She nodded. I kept thinking to myself, yes, I loved you. I still do. But after the other gone past, everything I did was to spare myself. Her eyes clouded at the mentioning of his name, but held our agreement to let me talk. You were hurting. And all I would make was a weak attempt to cheer you up. And when it didn't work for me, I would just leave. Either the room or the pains of bliss. Getting rejected when I tried to help hurt me. So I ran away. I spared myself having to try and help you through your hurts. My digital voice continued. And that was wrong and weak of me. A support is no good if it crumbles under the lightest notes. She snorted at that, but there was a slight smile in her eyes. She clearly wasn't all impressed with my metaphors. Stuff to work out. I mean, it's fine. It's just a little silly. I tried to take you on a nice date. Tried to take your mind off of things. I was egotistical enough to think that I knew what the best date would be. And even though I'd never taken a good on the date before, I could have just asked who you had thought, but I knew better. Also, you asked Ferris for advice, and he gave you good advice, and you just told him to fuck himself. She scowled a little like remembering the disaster we did. Same, girl. Go power, up top. Inco, you can't do that if you're the one at fault. What are you thinking? Same girl. Even when I thought you were even when I took you shopping to make up for it. When you picked up that other dog game in my game, I was hurt that none of my suggestions were what you wanted. It was all about my feelings again, even though the date was about making you feel better. And so the story goes, over and over again. A cycle of that slowly wearing you down until the formal. Her hand snaked their way to one of mine and pulled it down into their embrace. Mentioning the formal meant we were getting to the really bad bits. I squeezed her hands to reassure her, and she squeezed back. We're a team. We can do this. When you were clearly agitated to bottom. When you were clearly ascertained about there, pushing the thermal and doing archaeology, I ignored it. Your art wasn't in it. You even told me that you felt it was self-appeasement for the living, and you didn't really see the point. You felt slighted because I had created Ben without doing it. The mentioning of Ben made her hands tighten. Her claws dug into my skin slightly. When you put your foot with the pains, I stayed silent. So we left and went to the thermal. And the whole time I was pushing you about everything. Talking about teleology. Saying you didn't prepare for it. I paused for a moment before continuing the next part. Getting me to give you so-called acting tips. Her face curled into a sneer and her claws tightened into my skin. But she continued to hold into my hand. Come on, Olivia, we can do this. We're almost done with diarrhea. Everyone loves exposition diarrhea. Letting Ben take you off for final preparations. Then I was stupid and egotistical enough to think that you were going to put on this masterful performance of theology with their help. So I would take pictures of it. It didn't occur to me until you looked up at me that it wasn't acting. I couldn't imagine your hurt in that moment being real, because I would have been causing it. That's fair enough. That's kind of true. Like, that is a nice one, I guess. My breathing became quickened and shallow. Roski, you ran and I gave chase. I confronted you on the stairs and blamed you for everything. The fact I did should be all the evidence you need to know about how awful I was behaving. But one less self-centered move, I wanted to hug it out. Like it would magically fix everything I'd done to you. Her claws squeezed again and I could feel them break the skin ever so slightly. What a weird-ass way to do this. And you did the one thing a sane person would try to do to someone that crazy. You tried to get away. You pushed me away and I backed up against the stairs. You up against the stairs. I put us both into that position. When I saw you falling, I realized what was happening. I made a decision in that moment to save you. Olivia's eyes went wide, staring off into the room, likely reliving that moment just as I was as I retold it.
I thought at the time I was making a noble gesture, but the reality of it was that I was just fixing my mistake. I put us in this situation, so saving you and pulling you out of it was the only right thing to do. I didn't remember anything of that before waking up in the hospital.
She was barely breathing now. We're almost there, Olivia. She's not having a fucking baby, man.
I told you I didn't regret saving you, and I don't and never will. You're the most beautiful, talented, caring person I ever met. I'd happily trade my life for yours. I'm a goon, you know, I live for the boss. That I only paid with my ability to speak as a discount. I'd happily pay that again every day. Because that means you're alive and safe, and I can live with that, boss, happily.
Shakes racked up Olivia's body beside me. She was out of tears, but the outflow of emotion would not be stopped.
I've done a lot of thinking since I woke up, Olivia. I've examined what I'd done and what I did as a person. The only parts of the old me that were worth anything at all were the parts that make you and Liz and Damien happy. I'll throw away the part of old me that ever did any to you.
I see from the Master of Fallout 1! Ah. Listen, I can try to do something like that, but I feel this is goofy, but that'd be just mega disruptive, and maybe next time. She finally interjected a throat taut, like photography. I nodded. I wasn't sure how much she knew about Damien's confrontation with me, but it was not worth getting into. She knew the camera fell. She probably saw that part. I don't have the camera anymore, Olivia. And thinking about getting a new one always brings back the memory of when I was taking pictures.
You were the age. I get sick to my stomach.
I can't do it again. I can't bear the memory of hurting you that way. Every time I take a picture, my digital voice read out. Meanwhile, my face contorted, trying to make it through this without myself succumbing to tears. Thought I was all cried out, but it seemed that memory could still cut me in ways I couldn't. It's been 2 weeks. 2 weeks. Fuck old Inco. I liked your pictures, he said, one of her thumbs gently tracing the small pinprick punctures of her claws. That struck me hard. Not the last one. But I always liked how watching you be passionate about photography. I liked it when you took pictures of things, of people, at summer's end. I liked it when you took pictures of my art. She continued, her voice going raspier. I'd really forgotten about those moments. The idea of photography would always lead to the formal. It crushed any prior joys I felt about photography, but Olivia remembered. I don't think you were that different than that. After Mr. Yadakan died, pushing myself to do the painting I promised him hurt. It was his last request, but it felt like it was too late. Remembering that made me start to hate it. Like if I started to paint that fountain, it was me cheating on my promise to him. So I was getting angry. The idea of painting or drawing anything, she said as she lowered her head and rested on my shoulder. Inco, what are you talking about? Super mutants? Forced evolution virus? New age? Inco, if you want to fuck, you can just say it. Looks like it was her turn now, so I kept my mouth shut. Loser. Closer. You always complimented my work. I could tell you were being honest. You really loved them, even the stupid little sketches. But I could only see my failing to make that painting before he passed. Yeah, she's right. We're alike like that. It's the same for you with photography. You only remember the bad parts and ignore all the good parts. Listening to what you said, I think we both need to throw away the bad parts of ourselves and focus on the good. I nodded. Her voice was getting hoarse, so I leaned forward and grabbed at her soda. She drained it quickly and returned her head to my shoulder. I lay my head on hers. I wanted to put all the blame on myself for everything, but it isn't that simple. It isn't. It is everyone. It's everyone screwing up that got us here. Only thing we do is try harder and learn from it, right? I nodded. I'm still mad at Damien. Hearing that they decided to throw me out is what I wanted, I guess. I was being self-destructive, started lashing out at everyone. Even Vinny. Like we talked about before, it'd be easier if they just hated me and got rid of me. Then they would move on and be happy. It confirmed my fears, and I just rolled with it. Do you really think everyone wants to hate? Do you really think anyone wants to hate you? I asked, mirroring the same words Liz asked me. She shook her head. I know they don't. But I was terrible to them. I tried to force their hand so that it didn't matter what they wanted. I felt like I could take it, as long as they were no longer burdened. But it was stupid. All I did was make them feel worse, and I became a bigger and bigger burden, and even then, after I spat in their faces and hurt Vinny, and lashed out at all of them, after the former let me back in. A voice fell to a whisper, even though I'd been tossed out into the street right there and then, when you were taken to the hospital. Damien and Liz took me home. They told Randy what happened. Everyone wanted to go to the hospital to see her right there. But I couldn't. I watched as she rubbed at the palm of one of her hands with the other. Her eyes were locked in on it intensely. You shielded me from the fall. I landed on you and we broke my wheelchair. I had a few cuts and bruises. Probably twisted my ankle too or something if I could feel it. She sniffled out a laugh. When I climbed off of you, there was so much blood. You weren't moving. You didn't respond, and there was just more and more blood coming out of you. I don't even remember screaming. I just felt I had to protect you. Got back, and he asked me if I wanted to go with them. Sophia would have stayed home with Vinny, and I just couldn't. All I could see was the blood, still covered in it. Sucked it to my dress. She was quiet for a long moment, lost in the unpleasant memories again. So I just abandoned you. I couldn't see you die in the hospital. I'm sure you were dead. I couldn't bear to see that. Even for all the horrible things you said and did, I said I hated you. But I didn't want you dead. Couldn't bear seeing you with a blanket draped over you. But I didn't die. La muerte, I offered. And the elevator doors opened. An entire ocean of blood flooded from it. Well, you know what happens. She sniffled. No, you didn't. You messaged me after you woke up and I was torn. I felt terrible. I should have been there for you when you woke up. I felt like my behavior almost got you killed. Then I dropped you and left you to your fate so I wouldn't be hurt to see the results. I got angry at you. Myself. So I didn't respond. I ran away from you again. I should have been happy. We had a chance to fix things. But I wasn't, and it only made me feel worse. I figured you had to hate me now. I said all that stuff, and you said everything. And I nearly got you killed. So you wouldn't want to see me again. So I already burned my bridges with the pains. I just decided to wait it out. Wait it out. Just hold up in my room until graduation time. Then they kick me out. Everyone will be free to live their lives. But you kept talking to me. Occasional messages, including me in the group chat. You were even doodling. It made me feel worse and worse. Like every time I felt like replying if I did. Then me saying nothing before would feel like I was just throwing a tantrum. So I wouldn't. And that was the tantrum. I grabbed one of her hands with my free palm and held it. She squeezed my hand. And then Christmas happened. Obviously people came over, but I shut myself out. Maybe Randy told me you'd be over at some point. I don't remember. Probably tuned him out. But there were voices I didn't recognize. So I was peeking to see who it was. I saw you. You were in my house. I like how she says my house. I was, yeah. Oui. I didn't know what to say. I wanted to crawl out there and apologize. I wanted to scream at you. I wanted to hit you. Run out of the house. Hug you. I didn't know what to do. My mind was so tangled up. So I just ran away again. I remembered watching a singular eye through the door slit for a long moment. Couldn't make out what emotions she was feeling because of the narrow angle. But if she had opened the door a little wider, maybe I would have been able to see what she was going through. Maybe I wasn't ready to talk to her then either. I don't know. She just stared at me. I couldn't tell what you were thinking. So I ran away. That made me angry at myself, and then you gave me that present. Did you like it? Of course I liked it, you moron! I opened it, and I saw it, I knew what it was, and I knew what it was immediately, the quill, the engraving. I spent an entire week making myself miserable in my room, running away from you, not talking to you, and you give me something like that? New tears were forming. You wanted me to paint again, she said, as a statement of fact, not a question. I did. You wanted me to finish what I promised to you, Atakan. Oui. You could have given me any stupid expensive toys, clothes, a computer. You probably could have bought me a car. Anything to try and make up for what happened before. But you just want to see me paint again. She swallowed, fighting to continue. So I realized that if I was going to be kicked out, then I could still move forward. The pains hated me, Damien hated me. Hurt. But if you believed I could still paint, just like a Atakan, I still had something. Something I could do. I waited for her to finish her thought. I realized I was mistaken back then when I confronted her about the art contest before. I'd interjected, and then let her explain everything. That led to misunderstandings. We didn't get all the puzzle pieces. They would put up with me until graduation. So I just had to finish that. I didn't know what the future held. But I'd finish school. I'd keep painting. It was all I had, but when I looked at that pen, it felt like Mr. Atakan telling me it was enough to keep moving forward. That's all I want. I didn't dare to hope you still like me. Not after what I did. But if I could undo the damage you had caused you because of your love for art, I was okay with that. I didn't want to try and save you anymore. Or is this Inco talking? I don't know. That is all I want. I didn't dare hope that you still liked me. Not after what I did. But if I could undo the damage I caused because of your love of art, then I was okay with that. I did not want to try and save you anymore. I wanted you to support you doing what you love. We both thought she ran out of tears before. But that broke her again. We let ourselves cool down. Passions had run high. We took a break. We shared a soda as we sat in quiet contemplation for a time. Eventually, I broke the silence first. Tapped the question into my phone. So where does this leave us? She tilted her head back and looked deep in thought. I think we both made mistakes. Definitely. And we both need to fix those mistakes, she continued. Oui. My digital voice concurred. You're already doing a lot of that, but by the sounds of it, guess I gotta catch up. Follow your lead. I will support you every step of the way, the sympathetic voice said as I chuckled. I need to apologize to the Pains. From what you say, and I don't know what I know, they'll forgive me. But it won't be easy for me. Spent too much time convincing myself to be hated by them that it's hard to think of it in any other way. Anytime I think otherwise, I just remember what Damien said about them wanting to throw me out. I sighed and let my head fall back into the cushion, remembering that. I know. It was a moment of anger. He didn't mean it. Like how I didn't mean to hurt Vinny. Still, won't leave my head. So I gotta work on that. So what do we do now, Inco? I've some jelly birds. You want some jelly birds? Oui. My TTS voice agreed. As for you, I think you just need to get doing what you're doing, she said, looking at me with a small smile. Is it? That's all I need. You said yourself you'd help me every step of the way. That's it. I just need someone to push me through along when it's too much. Okay. Oh, and I am allowed to push you around. My flat-digital voice stopped matching my shit-eating grin. We're good at that right now. Feel like that's more intimate than pushing my wheelchair. Fair. For the first time since second period of class today, we were finally comfortably together. Certainly more work to be done. We talked about a lot of things, but really tackling 6 months of stupid teenager shenanigans was going to take more than one long conversation. We didn't even cover the fact that I now knew her history with Ben. It also felt like that was something we would deal with later, rather than right now. She said that what I was doing now was all I needed to do. That still felt like treading water. I wanted to be better. I wanted to be the kind of man people knew they could always rely upon. I had a hell of a backlog of empirical evidence to the contrary to overcome. Pushed Olivia to the stage. All right, Olivia. If you want to overcome your problems, you're gonna have to get over your fear of stairs. So, I'm gonna push you down, and you teach those stairs a lesson. Inco, I can't stand. But I felt good about it. It felt doable. I'd help repair and recover my relationships with Liz and the Pains, even my parents, which I thought was impossible. So I just needed to keep doing what I was doing, I guess. Huh. For Olivia's part, she knew that I wanted to see her get back into art, and she seemed to agree, which was amazing. She also realized she needed to work things out with the Pain, which was good. I wasn't sure if I was equipped to help her with something like that, though. As Randy and Sophia noted, I'm ultimately just some guy. There's some things I'm just not going to be equipped to handle. But then, that's why I talked to Mr. Farrett. You hit the wrong key, buddy. Whoops. I wouldn't broach the subject today. But it felt like we were on a high note, semicolon instead of an apostrophe. Oof. But I think Olivia seeing a therapist would be a good idea. For me as well, but for her to be sure. The Gator rested her head across my chest, her tail laid across my lap. I enjoyed the deep vibration she was emitting as she breathed. It's like a big cat. So, last question for now. Where does that leave us? She rolled her head so she could see my eyes with one of hers. Think we're making progress. Do you still want her to be in us? I do, I answered. Scales flushed red. One condition, then. Okay. It is. I need you to take some pictures of that fountain for me. I felt a knot in my gut. I know she didn't want me to drop photography. If you do that, then I can paint it. Oh! Then we can give it to Mr. Yatakan. Together. A wide grin took control of my face. I would like that. I'm sure he would. Yeah. She said as she leaned up and planted her lips on mine. I think he would.
Wow, that is so cute. Oh, wow.
Remember how people said nothing to something was Kino? Fuck those people. You can find an audience for anything. Bane's alright, I'm just some guy. I'm Soul Bad Guy. Who the hell is Soul Bad Guy? Well, he's a bad guy. What is the next? We got a few chapters to go. Who knows what the next one holds? Let's not even look at it. Lovely. Lovely jubbly. Thank you all for coming. Next time we'll do Chapter 7. And after that, we got Chapter 8, and then we are done. 80,000 words. What a steady clip we had. Oh, man, this was nice. I'm tired, though. Indoors, indoors, indoors.